Division Two. So I'll make this as short as I possibly can, and for those who have played Division, I'll explain like what you should look forward to, and for those who have not played Division, then let me tell you this much at least. I've played Division 1 beta, Division 1, and Division 2 beta. Now, in Division 1 beta, I'm not going to lie, the launch was horrible. Like the launch of the game was horrible. It had all types of problems. But in the beta, you could only go up a few levels, and then you went straight into the Dark Zone. Now, the Dark Zone is like the PvP area, and I'll be honest, that was like the most fun I ever had in the whole game, like in the Dark Zone. Now, in the full game, like when the game launched, you level up it like sort of like a single player campaign. Even though you're online, it's like a single player campaign because it's like instance. And when I say it's instance, I'm not saying like you're seeing loading screens or anything. It's just that you're instanced by yourself. Like there's no one else there unless you're playing with your friends. If you're playing with your friends, like they'll be in the game with you as you do like the campaign stuff, and they'll be with you in the Dark Zone only if they're like in your party. But if no one's in your party, for those like lone wolf type players, you'll pretty much play the game by yourself the entire time. The only time you'll need extra players is when you're doing one of your missions and it requires 3 other players. I mean, you could do it by yourself, but it's so hard that it's just better to get 3 randoms to help you or your friends to help you. And I know there's like lone wolf players that don't like playing with other people and just rather do their own thing, but you'll have to stomach like having randoms help you for these missions, but everything else you'll do by yourself. Now, beyond that, like I said, it's instant, so you're by yourself most of the time unless you party up. When you're doing the campaign, you'll find a spot that'll be like basically your HQ, and you'll do all your missions from there. And I don't mean like do your missions like you'll be in this base doing missions, but you'll leave that base to do missions, to find like forward like small bases and stuff like that, and missions on the map. And this is all Division 1, you know, mind you, like this is all missions in New York City and stuff like that. And as you like scavenge and get items and level up and get more stuff, you start upgrading your base or your HQ, and until you max it out. And eventually you'll get to max level and beat the campaign, and then you go into the Dark Zone. Now in the Dark Zone, that's a whole separate thing. You're still level 0. So in the Dark Zone in Division 1, you would go in the lowest levels of the Dark Zone, and you would have to find gear from bosses, because the bosses like drop the best gear. And once you get the gear, you have to go to excavation point, like so you can fire a flare up and a helicopter would come and get your loot, because it's like contaminated, so you can't use it unless you get this chopper to pick up your loot and take off. So once it takes off, it is officially yours. The problem is that other players are there. So other players will most certainly try to kill you or to take your loot, because they can kill you and take your loot, or wait for you to like try to excavate your loot, because the moment you do that, every player in the Dark Zone is alerted that you just fired this flare, so that they can come and kill you and take your loot and then put that on the chopper and watch your loot just fly off. Like that was pretty much the whole point of it. Now, for those lone wolf like players, you're gonna have a tough time like in the Dark Zone. It's not impossible. It's just you have to really be careful, because I'm gonna be honest. Like the Dark Zone, it benefits the teams. People come in with 3 other players, you know, teams of 4, like those players succeed the most. Especially when you get to the higher levels of the dark zone, you go further up north in the dark zone, because there's only one major like dark zone area, and the further north, the higher level enemies and stuff like that. Now this is all Division 1. Now in Division 2, for those who's played the game and did all the raiding type content in the Division 1 and got like set items and stuff like that, Phoenix coins and stuff like that. In Division 2, the biggest I'd say the biggest dramatic change would pretty much be the DC area. The DC area is literally the biggest change you'll see in the game, because from New York, where there's all these like buildings, and then DC, where it's kind of like more open areas, like that's the biggest dramatic change you'll see. But other than that, again, you're kind of doing the same old thing in Division 2. That's why I'm saying, like, if you play Division 1 and you're now playing, you're thinking of playing Division 2, then it's gonna be like same old same for you, because when you go in Division 2, it's the same stuff. You get the sentry gun, the multi-grenade stuff, and you still have that. It still plays the same. You get a settlement. When you get the settlement, you have to upgrade it. You have to go scavenge and max it out. And in the beta, I think level 30 was the max. And then you go in the dark zone. The dark zone, at least from looking at the map, there's multiple dark zones this time. So I don't know what's in that dark zone, but in all the dark zone areas, but for the most part, it is the same. There's new weapons, new gear, of course, but this is all expected. There's also a interesting like in-game type stuff with the invading stuff. So there's some changes, but for those who play Division 1, you'll ease right into Division 2 easily, because it'll be like the same game, just continuing on. But for those who've never played Division 1 and are interested in playing Division 2, you'll like, if you're like one of those players who are interested in like story and immersion and stuff like that, you will enjoy the game. Like they did that part good. If Ubisoft has a horrible launch with Division 2, you can at least count on Ubi to work on it until it's like decent, it's really good or something, because they've had horrible launches before and they've worked on it the entire time. So I'm not trying to discourage you from getting the game or not. I'm just basically the whole point of this video is to tell you like what is in the game, what to expect, without having to show you anything. Like you'll already have a good idea of what's in the game. So I hope this was informative for you guys, and leave me a like or a comment, and if you have any more questions about the game, let me know. Hope you enjoyed this video, and thanks for watching.